Hey, what's up guys? I'm Theo Joe, and if you haven't heard, Microsoft recently talked about the next major update for Windows 10 called the Fall Creators Update. So earlier this year they had the Creators Update, and now they're going to have the Fall Creators Update, another one. And they have said that each year they're going to have two major updates, so this will be the second one. And they have a lot of cool new features, and that's what we're going to go over today. Should be pretty cool to see what they're coming up with next. The first new feature, kind of going in line with the creator's theme, is a feature called the Windows Story Remix, which is a program that's going to allow you to basically create a custom video automatically using all sorts of media that you've collected, whether it's just pictures or video, and also collaborate between people who may have collected videos from the same event. So the example they showed was from a soccer game, and they said that maybe all the parents took different videos and they used it to combine it with this Windows Story Remix into one video that it made. And when they were demonstrating it, it had a few different features that I thought were pretty cool. For example, it does automatic tracking, it seems like. So they drew on it, and then that text followed the person running around and actually changed to a scale the further away she got from the camera. So that was pretty neat. It's like actual professional grade tracking without having to do it in After Effects. And the other one they did was inserting a flame where the ball was, where she was kicking it into the goal. So that was also pretty neat. So it seems like there's actually some awesome effects that you might use that normally would be reserved for someone needing to use a professional video software. You know, this isn't Windows Movie Maker anymore. It seems like they stepped up their game. It's pretty neat. The next major feature is not really a feature in itself, but the design of Windows itself. So they said they're going to be moving on to what they're calling the fluent design philosophy, I guess you could say, and this is opposed to the current Metro design that they've been using for a while. And one of the things they were going for, not really related, is they want everything in Windows to be able to be controlled with the Smart Pen. So I guess that's kind of interesting. I don't know why they would really do that. Maybe for tablets where people are going to be using the touchscreen a lot as opposed to just typing, they want that ability. When they announced this design, they had 5 major themes that they wanted to focus on, and these were light, depth, motion, material, and scale. For light, I'm not really sure if they meant lightweight or light shading, possibly even both. It did look like a very lightweight theme, so I guess that's something they're going to go for. For depth, it shows that they kind of want to make things look a little bit more 3D, maybe like you're looking through a window or something where it's not just flat on the screen. It seems like these assets on the screen are going to have a little bit of depth, like you're looking into something. As for motion, I'm assuming that's just going to be for little animations. The subtler the better, I think. If they just start adding tons of animations and overdo it, it'll look tacky, but I'll trust them. For material and scale, they didn't really seem to explain this at all. I'm assuming that's just going to be like the textures they use and considering the size of things on the screen. But I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory and common sense anyway, so I don't really know why they're focusing on that so much. Maybe they just needed more buzzwords to add in there. In any case though, I'm always open to new designs, especially if they're going to look better. I don't mind the current design of Windows 10, but you know what? If they can add more aesthetics, then I'm happy. The next major feature is for OneDrive. I don't really use OneDrive, but it does seem like it's a neat feature, which is Files on Demand, they're calling it, which apparently was already in previous versions of Windows and OneDrive, and they took it out. So people are happy that they're adding this back in. And what it does is allows you to have files stored in the cloud, but you don't necessarily need to have it on your computer, but it'll still show icons for those files in the cloud so you can easily access them. And it'll just download your most common files or files that you need as you click on them. So you'll still be able to click on it as if it was on the computer, and then it'll just download it. So I think this might be useful if the file isn't too big and takes forever to download, but it might also be very useful for maybe tablets or laptops where there's a little bit of restriction on space, and then you can keep everything on the cloud and just use files when you need them if you don't need them that often. The next feature, which I think is pretty awesome, is a cloud clipboard. So if you're on your desktop and you copy something to your clipboard, and you're logged into the same Microsoft account on your other devices, even a phone, iOS or Android, you'll be able to access that clipboard on all of your devices. So you can sync that clipboard, copy it from one computer, paste it on a completely separate device. They said that this would specifically be used with the SwiftKey keyboard, so I'm assuming if you're on a phone, you have to have that set as your default keyboard. So that's kind of a bummer, but I guess there's no other way to do it anyway. So if you use a lot of Windows services, that might be the best route. And also they said what would happen is there'd basically just be a tab, and you click on that and it'll show you different things that were copied on different devices, maybe even a couple copies ago, and then you can just paste it. So it is very similar to Apple's universal clipboard, except this isn't restricted to just Apple's ecosystem. You can use it on Windows, iOS, or Android. I'm not really sure if you can use it on Mac, probably not, since it's baked into the Windows OS, but still useful for phones. Moving on, we have another feature called the Windows Timeline, and the idea is that this will show you a history of everything you've done on the computer recently, like documents you've accessed, that sort of thing, and also currently running programs. And this way you can go back and continue projects where you left off or went to websites or something like that. So it's just a way to see what you've been doing. And the way you access it would be the task switcher, which is kind of like a super version of Alt-Tab, and that allows you to search recently visited websites or documents. And if you were working on a specific PowerPoint file or something, you can click on that and it'll open up to the same place you were before. And the other neat thing is it will work on multiple devices. So I'm not sure if this will work on Android, obviously, but if you use multiple Windows 10 devices, then you can open up things you were working on another computer. And I don't know if you need OneDrive to sync those files. I'm assuming if it is in OneDrive that you can open up files, but maybe if you're just on a website or something like that, you'll be allowed to go back into those. The next minor thing Microsoft announced is that iTunes is going to be on the Windows Store. So Microsoft has really been trying to get people to use the Windows App Store, and it's just been failing. I mean, does anyone really use it? I don't blame you if you don't. I don't personally, but I guess they're like, oh, maybe if we use iTunes on there, people start using it. I'm skeptical. I think they want to do this because Windows 10s is something they released recently, which is a very limited version of Windows that only allows you to run apps from the App Store. And I guess they kind of want to legitimize the App Store, even though I think it's completely stupid. And I don't know, I don't see the Windows App Store becoming popular anytime soon. However, another announcement with the App Store, which I will say is pretty cool, is that they're adding versions of Linux to the Windows App Store. Wait a minute, what? Yeah, so they're basically adding versions of Ubuntu, Fedora, and SUSE, which are different distros of Linux. And the idea is you download this, install it, and it's not bootable, but it will be runnable as a virtual machine. So you can run a virtual environment of Linux and run Linux programs through Windows, which I think is pretty awesome. I don't really know if there's that many programs that are Linux exclusive, if any, that I find myself wanting to use ever. But I mean, I guess if you use Linux a lot, like you're a programmer or something, then this might be very useful to not have to switch between computers or boot up completely into a different operating system, or it'll just be much easier to run a virtual machine with it. And it will have command line utilities that could be useful as well. So I think this is actually pretty awesome. Probably the only thing worth downloading on the Windows Store, maybe besides iTunes. The final thing they announced, which I was excited about but isn't directly related to Windows 10, is that they're going to be creating Windows mixed reality hand controllers. So major thing that they're trying to push is mixed reality with HoloLens, and then you may know that they're releasing virtual reality headsets, and now they're saying that they're going to have hand controllers. They look a lot like the same you might see with the Vive or the Oculus Rift, and these will work with the upcoming virtual reality headsets made by HP and Acer. And what I think is most interesting about these new headsets and controllers is, unlike the Oculus Rift and the Vive, where you need external sensors and the tracking is outside in basically, the tracking on these new headsets like the HoloLens is inside out. So you don't need any type of sensor on your walls or anything, and that's the same way the tracking is with the controller. So the headset does the tracking relative to you, and then it tracks where you are in the room. So again, you don't need any external sensor, so you can walk between rooms if you even wanted, as long as the cord reaches. And what's also awesome is these headsets actually have pretty awesome specs. So this could go mainstream. The Oculus Rift and the Vive, they cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars, but for $399 is the price they're doing for the headset and hand controller combo at the end of the year. It's $499. You get headsets that are 90 hertz, 1400 pixels in each eye, And if the tracking is really good, I think this will be very impressive, maybe even rival or maybe even potentially be better than the current top-end headsets. I mean, it's been a year or so since they last released them, so I guess manufacturers are able to more cheaply produce better headsets. And in any case, it's gonna be way better than the mobile VR headsets that just work with your phone. I mean, those are just really bad, usually only up to 60 hertz, gonna make people sick. 90 hertz like these are pretty great. And with the hand controllers, it's just another level. What I like to say is that the jump from going to virtual reality with hand controllers is basically the same as going from just a monitor to virtual reality. It's that big of a jump. It adds that much more immersion. You really got to try it. So that isn't strictly with the Windows 10 update, but I wanted to talk about it, and I did actually pre-order the Acer virtual reality headset, and I believe it's supposed to be released in August. So once I get my hands on that finally, I will do a review, of course, and maybe compare it to the $800 headsets that you have to get otherwise. So that'll be pretty exciting. And otherwise, that's about it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and if you have any ideas about what you think are most exciting, let us know down in the comment section. If you want to keep watching, I'll put some other videos right here. You can just click on those. And if you want to subscribe, I do make videos every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, so it should be worth it. So again, thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.